and welcome to My Career in Data, a podcast where we discuss with industry leaders and experts how they have built their careers. I'm your host, Shannon Kemp, and today we're talking to Jacqueline Paneque from TE Connectivity.
With a robust catalog of courses offered on demand and industry-leading live online sessions throughout the year, the DATAVERSITY Training Center is your launchpad for career success. Browse the complete catalog at training.dataversity.net and use code DVTalks for 20% off your purchase.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp and I'm the Chief Digital Officer at DATAVERSITY, and this is My Career in Data, a DATAVERSITY Talks podcast dedicated to learning from those who have careers in data management, to understand how they got there and to talk with people who help make those careers a little bit easier. To keep up to date in the latest in data management education, go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Today, we are joined by Jacqueline Paneque, the head of data quality and data literacy at TE Connectivity. And normally this is where a podcast host would read a short bio of the guest, but in this podcast, your bio is what we're here to talk about. Jacqueline, hello and welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me today.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to hear about what you do and how you got there. So let's start off with, you're the head of data quality and data literacy at TE Connectivity. So tell me, what type of business is TE Connectivity?
So TE, Forbes actually once called it the biggest company you've never heard of, and I relate to that. So we are a global leader in connectivity and sensor solutions. So if you've ever driven a car, have a smartphone, or relied on medical devices, chances are you've connected with TE Connectivity.
Oh, that's very interesting. I love that this is part of my job, that I get to learn about all these different companies and the very cool things that they do.
Oh,
So,
I know. When I joined, I didn't know too much about TE Connectivity. I was just in the same in your boat, but then as I learned more, I'm like, wow, this is actually a pretty cool company.
that's very cool. So tell me, as the head of data quality and data literacy at TE Connectivity, what is it that you do?
Yeah, so being the head of data literacy and data quality right now is actually, I recently went into this role. So I was the lead and now I'm just became the head of it. So what I really do is develop the data literacy strategy as well as the data quality strategy in combination with the rest of my team, who kind of leads up the data governance portion. But they're all very interconnected. And we found that when we were working, my previous was in data quality solely. But what we found when I was working in data quality and data governance is that data literacy was always a part of it, but never really focused on. And as we're driving these initiatives with, say, AI, data management, consolidating areas, we found that people didn't really understand what we were talking about, and the projects wouldn't make sense. So this new role is really focused on that data literacy element and creating a personalized structure of not just training. It's not a session that you could just like take a course, oh, I'm certified and I understand all things about data, but really seeing how data plays a role with different roles within the company.
Oh, very interesting. In order to have better data quality, you needed a data literacy program.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because we found that talking about data quality and the dimensions, we decide to filter out on 6 of the many, many that you probably see online.
Mhm.
It didn't quite make sense to the business. They're like, we know what's wrong with the data when we go through it, but we're not exactly sure what's that impact, how do we get to it. So we wanted to take a step back and really make it so that data literacy is a forethought in all of our initiatives revolving not only data quality, but our analytics, our visualizations, all of that. So that way, when we're talking to the business, we're talking that same language.
And can I ask, or do you know, how you landed on the term data literacy? We had a webinar series, because it seems it's the common term, right, to describe an education in data management.
Yeah.
But we found there's also a lot of resistance to that name. Don't call me illiterate. Like, how do you navigate that? Or have you had to?
Yeah, exactly. So we're still in the beginning stages. So I feel like we're going to be continually navigating that. But the way we approach it is it's very much like when you start just reading and writing as a person, or if you're trying to learn a new language. It's not necessarily that you're illiterate in that language. It's just like there's stepping stones to get a little more familiar to what data is and how is it relevant to you.
Mm,
Um, and the way we do that is making it, I keep saying very personalized, but really seeing just common day occurrences. You go to the grocery store and you make decisions. How do you make those decisions? You look at the nutrition facts. Those are all part of data literacy. And it's about making those connections that it's not just about seeing a bunch of raw tables and making decisions on based on that. It's things that you would interact with. If you use any type of maps for your way home. You make decisions. Oh, well, there's construction going on, or there's a slowdown, and you're actively and you're conscious about what that data that is being provided to you, how it like changes that path. So do you take
sure.
the Route 83 or you take Route 81? And that probably only makes sense to people who are in Central PA.
Yeah, that makes sense though. I love that that you get it to be personalized and help bring that home.
Yeah,
It helps makes a lot of sense. And by the way, congratulations on the promotion
thank you.
to
Thank
head
you.
of. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I've been in this role and we'll probably talk about it soon, but I've been within the data governance realm for 4 years now and at the company for six. So I'm very excited about this next step.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so tell me then, how do you work with data in your job?
I work it in different facets. So I look at the information that we've collected and stored. So when I'm thinking about the data literacy portion of my job, I look at, okay, well, what are the different personas that are within the company? Because it's not just, oh, well, you either work with data or you don't. Everyone works with data in just some way. So looking at what is that in front of me, we have 80,000 employees. So it's looking at what is a realistic expectation of like piloting these groups and curating this content and making sure that I'm making a good strategy going forward. But then I also, for data quality, we look at into the tables. So if I'm working with a business and they're saying that the customer information, the customer tables are not providing them the information they expect, then I go a little more detail into the actual back end source data. So it all depends on what task am I working on.
Hmm, very interesting. You work with a lot of data.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's back it up a little bit. Let's talk about how you got into this role. So, Jacqueline, so tell me, when you were very young, say 6 years old, was this the dream? Did you say, I want to grow up and be the head of data quality and data literacy at a connectivity company? Or what was the dream?
I didn't even know that was a thing. I grew up before, not to age me, but I was before Google. So it was before I really knew about computers too much, especially at the age of six. So being something in data, let alone computers or anything, was just definitely not on the top of mind. I tried to really think back of like, what did I want to be when I grew up? And honestly, at that age, I probably just wanted to be like a princess, or I wanted to be at home or play and make crafts. I was really big on crafts at that age.
I love that. Oh, yes. I wanted to be Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I am with you. All right. So tell me then. So, but as you got older, and you started evolving in school, where did you start finding your passion? Where did you start focusing on?
Funny enough, as I was growing up, I didn't like crafts as much. Like art was actually probably not something of my focus. So I kind of took that as a back burner. It's not something that I was excelling at. Um, my parents always encouraged me into more of the math and sciences. So I started going the math route. And then I heard one of my neighbors when I was growing up was an actuary. So I'm like, oh, this seems cool. Didn't really know too much about it.
Yeah.
Um, went through high school thinking that I'm going to major in actuarial science, went to college with that path in mind. But as I was in school for said actuarial science, I'm like, this doesn't seem too interested me. And for me, I really have to have that sense of purpose and feel like if I'm going to spend 40 hours doing anything, I want
Mhm.
to enjoy it. So I still finished it. I was in math. I picked up finance as another major, finished off with finance and math in my bachelor's degree. Stick to when I graduated, I went to the corporate finance route, funny enough. So I still was not in data. And it's not something that was in mind. Actually, it intimidated me since I remember thinking about picking up computer science, but I always heard, oh, it's hard, it's not relatable, it's going to take like it's just too consuming of your life. And I'm like, okay, that was a little bit of a deterrence.
Sure.
So I graduated and then I worked within corporate finance for a couple of years, worked for Deloitte and then a small company local to central Pennsylvania. Started
Mhm.
at TE as a pricing analyst. So again, still not data adjacent, but not directly data.
Yeah.
Um, and then when I was at TE, I was a pricing analyst and I kept working in Excel and I was like, there's something wrong with this. I don't like the process that we're having for pricing these products. I There's nothing documented, and it went back to a lot of the things you hear about data governance. So then, a blessing in disguise, the pandemic happened.
Mm.
You could see it from both ways.
Yeah.
And there was this opportunity that popped up in the internal job board, and originally it was labeled as business intelligence analyst, and it went back to my college years where I was like, not sure. This seems a little bit drastic. But I felt a little more confident because it was an internal job posting, so I knew who the hiring manager was, or I could see who the hiring manager was.
Mhm.
So I decided to just ping her real quick, and I was like, "Hey, can we have a conversation about this? It seems interesting. There were a few words about data governance and project management, all things that I liked looking more into within the current role I was in." I had a conversation with her and she was like, I actually think you're good for this job. You might not have all the skills at the time, but it's something that could be developed. So she took a chance on me. I started as a data governance just specialist, is what they call it, or analyst, went
Mhm.
into a lead position, and now the head.
That's I love that. So you were experiencing frustration in your current job, your first role there at TE, because and
Yeah.
things finding things that you wanted to solve, and then you found a role that would enable you to help solve those problems that you're
Yeah.
experiencing.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
very, very cool. So so you got into the role, you didn't have all the skill set. So how did you ramp up and develop the skills needed to perform the job?
I was very fortunate in the sense that data governance was very new to the company, and it wasn't something that was fully supported by leadership at that time. It was something they wanted to do. They knew the worth of doing it, but it wasn't too many resources put on it. And I'm sure a lot of people that are probably listening in the podcast feel the same way, that they want to do it, but they don't want to put the resources to it. So I was able to see and just communicate to the business of what are those issues, learn more about data governance, listen to different webinars about the topic, and see and help form the path where TE goes along with our very small team. I joined in when we only had my manager and 3 people under her.
Hmm.
So now we only have like 4 or 5 people under that manager. So it didn't really expand too often, but now, especially with a lot of the focus being on AI and things coming out with AI offerings, there's a little more a conscious decision about, okay, well, we need people educated about what AI is and isn't. Are they talking about just generative AI, traditional, genic, all of those? And then on top of that, what can we do as we're trying to build AI models? Well, it goes back to the data. So then data governance got a little more support. So I think it was the right time, right time, right moment where I got the position because I was able to take some time to learn about it more without risk of or fear of failure.
Visit dataversity.net and expand your knowledge with thousands of articles and blogs written by industry experts, plus free live and on-demand webinars covering the complete data management spectrum. While you're there, subscribe to the weekly newsletter so you'll never miss a beat.
Yeah, makes sense. And I love that. And it probably helped you to communicate with the business the fact that you had experienced those
Yeah.
issues, so you could relate to them and what they were going through. Um, so, but you did expand. I know you say it's small growth, but you did have
Yeah,
growth in your team.
we did.
So how, like you say, it's so hard for, sometimes to communicate the necessity of something this kind of a program. We see huge companies often have one person dedicated to it.
Yeah.
So, how did you, um, how have you evolved, and how is it just the use of AI that it demanded the expansion of the team, or did you show that you
Yeah.
are implementing value in some way, and that
Yeah.
also?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of everything. I think the AI kind of I don't want to say trend because it's something that's probably here to stay, but it definitely put the leadership eyes on it. But in order to demonstrate value, what we really did is see starting small because we are a small group. We wanted to start small in showing value. And there were people in the business that had the time and the money and the resources to put towards it. So we kind of collaborated in those efforts. And when I first joined the team, we had purchased a tool for a business glossary. So we really wanted to focus on, okay, well, let's start with just speaking the same language. So we launched out our business glossary where we worked with various business members of, okay, well, what are you giving your new employees when they join in to learn the jargon of TE, the terms that are happening within your certain function? Is it in a centralized place or is it just a spreadsheet that you send to them? So consolidating all of that into the functions and slowly starting to create that ownership, really business ownership of those terms and making it a community of where you could comment and suggest new terms if something is missing, just to kind of get their feet wet of what there is to be done in the world of data governance. From that, we decided to expand it to not only speaking the same language, but okay, well, everyone's using reports and using applications and tools around the business, but how do I know about them? How do I know if this report is relevant to another business function or a business unit? So we started documenting that. So that curated the report catalog and then the application catalog is what we call it. And even throughout those conversations, we were talking with the business of, well, what are your pain points? You're doing dashboards on these issues saying that this field is blank or this field because when these conditions are met needs to be this type of value, trying not to give out too much information, so purposely vague right now. But that triggered oh well, that's a data quality use case. So we started having those misses. We had an enterprise data quality tool, we still do. So we trained those business users use we trained those business users on the tool, but we guided them through it and started documenting not only the business case, the impact it had to the business, and then we would do a form of data literacy of doing that success story of, oh, well, we use this enterprise tool. This is the remediation of it. This is the progress still yet to be done. So it started gaining the interest of other business users of, if again, similar to that report catalog, where if this data quality use case sounds like something that you might be interested in, maybe we could scale it out as well.
That is very interesting. And I bet it's very helpful for people to hear. I love that you started with a business glossary and just getting everybody to talk
Yeah.
on the same page. What a great way to start. Like that just seems so, when you say it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. I wish, sometimes it's just it's hard to think of the simplest thing to make everything happen. Because we get that question a lot.
Oh yeah.
Where do we start?
Yeah,
And
and we've heard it in all ways. I think we had it a few ways before I started. So they had this tool for the business glossary, but they kind of just brought everything in and they wanted a centralized model. And I'm like, well, the business, you have to think about adoption. How are the business currently working? So if you're in a centralized model where you have different business units and different functions within those units, you're not going to have people adopt a form of this word that they're not currently using. You have to kind of speak to them. So we pretty much took out everything and made it into a federated model where we had those communities and pockets of people that all had a say in it as opposed to deciding for them.
yeah, absolutely. You know, um, if especially if you have multifacets in the company, customer may mean different things to different.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, even back to my pricing example, I remember when I was a pricing analyst, I would use cost as almost the cost of the product to make it. So, what would it be? The labor, the overhead, the materials that would go in it. But then when I was talking to customer service, that we're talking to the end customer about um, what the price was, they would say, "Oh, well, what is the cost?" Meaning cost to the customer. So making sure that we were speaking that because I found myself in a few times in email, I'm like, well, that's not the cost. That's what the price is to the customer. So even as simple as that,
Right.
that was within the same business unit, but they were different functions. And having that understanding of who your audience is
Mhm.
pivotal of making those decisions because that could have very well changed the answer.
Indeed. So tell me, Jacqueline, what's been your biggest lesson so far in your career?
I would say, especially with as I talked about, I went from math to finance to a little bit of project management. I think it's just important to be adaptable and always want to learn more. Especially in the age that we are now, I feel like there's news about something else hitting the market and technology is ever changing. But regardless of the technology you use, it's just about being open-minded of that there might be a different perspective. We're becoming more and more global, not only within our company, but in just in the age of where everyone's connected, being mindful of the differences and being adaptable to that is may not just always be your way. And I think that is very that has become very useful in my career. And I try to keep that in mind when I'm like talking to other individuals or seeing how where I want to go within my career of let me try not to have a fixed mindset on where I am now. Because if you were to ask me even 5 years ago, what do I want to be in 5 years? I wouldn't have said the head of data literacy and data quality.
I know it's true, right? If you're open to new experiences, it could lead you to somewhere you totally unexpected, but so
Yeah.
much better than what you planned.
Oh, absolutely. I am a very big planner in life. So it was tough when I got out of college. I was very much in the mindset of like I'm going to stay at this company, I'm going to work the ranks, I'm going to go from this position to this position and then my end goal is this. But then as I was getting older and I took different positions and just purely because either the situation I was in or I wanted to try something new, it has opened so many doors.
I love it. So tell me, you even though in finance you worked with a lot of data, of course. So you've worked with a lot of data throughout your entire career. What what is your definition of data?
I would say the data can be defined as the information or just in general information that is collected, stored, or analyzed in any shape or way. So, like I said, when if you're using your phone, even if as you're signing into your phone, if you have face recognition or the pin pad or a pattern, those are all forms of data. It's and I really always try to say that data isn't just what you think about a table or a spreadsheet with a bunch of rows and columns. And I because that's what I used to think. I'm like, oh yeah, well, you're a data analyst, you're just working with spreadsheets, but it's really more than that.
It is. It's so much more. Yeah. And it wasn't until I started working with Dataversity, I'm like, oh, unstructured data, that's data. So,
Yeah.
uh, my sister is a surgeon. So, images of, X-ray images.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many different forms of data, like you said, unstructured, structured, quantitative, qualitative,
Mhm.
raw facts and figures, and as you bring them all together, it's those raw information to analyzed information, and then how do you manipulate it, and the different forms of how that data was curated, because there's different biases that might be relevant. And it's just the world of data is big and is very broad and diverse, which I wish I if I told my younger self anything, I would be like, hey, don't be as afraid of it as you were.
I understand. Yeah, there's so many different aspects of data and ways to get involved with it and have fun with it. It is
I
so
think I
true.
think it was the unknown that really, if I look back on it, like
Mhm.
it was the unknown of what it really is,
Yeah.
of that's scary, because as a math major, I was like proving out theories of like it's already been proven. So it's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
there. Or in my statistics class, I would put put information together and then make my own hypothesis. And it's because but all of those were very tangible, but it's taking
Mhm.
that next step of like kind of thinking outside of the box, bringing
Mhm.
back to my younger self of doing arts and crafts. I'd be like, okay, well, how else could I see this?
I love that. Um, yeah, engaging your inner child and
Yeah,
that
exactly.
curiosity. Yeah. So tell me, do you see the importance of data management and the number of jobs working with data increasing or decreasing over the next 10 years, and why?
I'd be surprised if anyone's saying it's decreasing the need for data management. I think if anything, it's increasing, and it's also increasing with a sense of priority. I think in the past we've been able, and we being as a collective, not necessarily any company or anything, we've gotten away with just having information all over the place and then kind of doing fine, being able to find it in pockets. But as we continue to advance and continue to see where data could provide us, it's really about bringing it all together. So if you have multiple warehouses or multiple sources, it's going to make it more chaotic. So it's about having that data management where we actually have policies, we have a strategy, we have the people in place that know the importance of managing that data in a certain way, because it's very easy to say, oh, well, I'm just going to move all the information today and I'll worry about it tomorrow. But I'm sure they said that 20 years ago, and now it's just all over the place.
It sure is. Yeah. And even with AI coming on board, uh, it's even more important, right?
Yeah.
Managing the data. Yeah, it won't eliminate those data jobs. I think it increases
Yeah,
data
exactly. I
jobs.
think I think if anything, especially with how we're going with AI, there might be pockets where it becomes easier. Like,
Right.
an example of this is if you're building a data strategy and you have the five top elements you want to incorporate in it, instead of line by line making that strategy or business case, you could have the help with generative AI to formulate it all together and make it all pretty. But at the end of the day, it's still your thoughts and you have to look through it and validate it. It's just taking away almost like the tedious tasks of
Yeah.
a lot of the roles that we have of putting it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. So what advice would you give people then who are looking to get into a career in data management?
I would say that regardless of your background, there's probably a place for you in data management. More and more I've seen that it's not just if you majored in computer science or you had something with information or you were previously IT. Honestly, I think that doesn't matter, because there's a lot of skills that cross into the data world, especially for data management. I remember I recently went to the Dataversity conference and I was amazed by how many like how broad and diverse the backgrounds were. There were librarians or previous life librarians and teachers, and I think all of them help contribute to a better world of data management because it's not just about the technical aspect of it. You need to have that those other softer skills and the skills of putting it all together. It doesn't necessarily take one type of person for data management.
Oh, I so agree. We actually have had nurses starting to learn data management and
Yeah,
go to data management. It's yeah, all kinds of backgrounds. That's part of why I do
exactly.
this podcast to figure out to show the diversity and not only in the jobs that are available, but in how people got there.
Exactly.
I've talked to filmmakers. I've talked to
Yeah, and what I would have to say to leaders is just like take a chance. I am so incredibly fortunate for my manager to take a chance on me 4 years ago, and I love this role. But it's always hard for leaders to be like, oh well, there's this cookie cutter job description, and we think we know what we're talking about. But if you take a step back and see how does that person fit within the role on a almost collaborative aspect, how would they fit within your team, and do they have the skills within their current role to bring over? It doesn't necessarily You don't necessarily need to fit every single check mark on that job description. So be willing to take a chance, and especially if it's someone who's internal that you might know a little bit more, it that risk diminishes very quickly.
That's really great advice. I love that. And you demonstrate the innate quality that I've seen across all data practitioners is that just that curiosity.
Yeah,
Going, yeah, I'm willing to learn, I want to learn, I need to learn. Is that need to learn
yeah.
more.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, well, Jacqueline, this has just been so much fun. Thank
I know, I've had a great time talking about it, and I hope if there's even one listener that says, "Hey, you know what? I want to take that chance to talk to this person that I've seen this role open." I think that's more than worth it because I find it that when we're looking at a job description, and I guess this is advice to anyone looking to get into the data world, is even if you make up, say, 40% of the role or the skill set that you're showing within the role, just go for it. It's at least worth trying than saying, "Oh, what if?" Because had I not tried and went to my case, it was internal, so I was able to go to the hiring manager, I would have probably think, "Oh, well, now I'm still in a finance position." Because funny enough, at that same time when I got the role that I eventually to my role, it was between that and a finance policy position. So I was in the kind of crossing point, like, do I stay within the field that I know and it's a safe spot, or do I take this chance to just be a little more curious and see where it takes me?
oh, I love that. And I have no doubt that you are going to inspire many people. So, Jacqueline, it's you've had so much good advice throughout this whole podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank
It's been a
you.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure on this podcast. I really love this. Love these types of just talks about just, hey, where are people? How have they got there? What are the challenges you face? Because I think that diversity is perspective, when we talk more about it, that it becomes more personal and relatable.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. Well, again, thank you. And I'd be remiss. So if people want to learn more about TE connectivity, where would they go?
Well, we do have a website. I will be sure to place it in the details or provide it to you for to place it on the details. And then if you want to learn more about the data governance team, I will also be providing my LinkedIn.
Oh, that'd be so great. Thank you so much. I know our
Always
community
happy to
loves to
connect.
connect. Yeah. As you know, you know our
Yeah.
community well.
Well, T connectivity always like to say, let's stay connected. So
Uh,
I'm gonna keep that going.
I love that. It's a perfect mantra. Well, Jacqueline, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. And to all of our listeners out there, if you'd like to keep up in the latest in data management and data education, you may go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, everyone. Thank you for listening to DATAVERSITY Talks, a podcast brought to you by DATAVERSITY. Subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates and information about our free educational webinars at dataversity.net/subscribe.